Just set that up. The stand. There we go. Anyone that tunes in, let me know. Let me know where you're tuning in from. If you tune in later, say hello. That's better. It's better. Okay. So I wanted to get on here and talk about a few things. To talk about how, where humanity's basically heading and how we understand, people a little bit better when it comes to certain traits or, the labels that we put on people, right? It's like ADHD and dyslexic and, bipolar and whatever other, disorder that we look at and we think that we need to fix these things. We need to do something to calm someone down. When it comes to ADHD, we need to give them medication, take a pill, or, with dyslexic, we need to do certain things because, that person's not able to read properly because they see things backwards or whatever. And when it comes to bipolar, we think, well, there's something not right there. We need to medicate that. But what if we looked at it a little differently? What if we started to really embrace all of these things for what it is? Now, they're just labels at the end of the day. But someone that may seem all over the place when it comes to ADHD, let's really dissect it down. Someone that may jump from conversation to conversation, like topic to topic, and they seem like they're going around in a washing machine, a circle, and we think, wow, I can't really follow this person. They're all over the place. Rather than seeing that that's how their brain works, they see things differently. It may seem very, very, exciting rather than looking at it as a burden, rather than saying we need to calm that down. But what is ADHD really when you think of it? Someone who has a lot of energy and a lot of motivation in the way that they show up. They have that fire. They have that to bring. Why don't we look at it differently? Because someone who has ADHD, they can hyper-focus on the things that they're passionate about. And at the end of the day, we're here to live by our passions. I mean, if you love music, you love singing, playing the guitar, whatever that is, you're going to keep singing. You're going to keep playing that guitar. Or if you love telling jokes, you're going to keep telling those jokes to make people laugh. So why do we look at it as a burden? We need to fix something. If someone who may be distracted in having ADHD, they may be distracted with certain things because maybe those distractions are the things that they don't even need in their life. Maybe those distractions are just things that don't need to enter into their mind because it doesn't interest them. And we don't look at these things. We think, well, there's something wrong there. But I've really, really looked at that, not that I've got that label of ADHD, but, there's been times in my life where, I've been considered too much or, too expressive or too energized or, you can't sit still, or some of these things of leading to the symptoms of what ADHD would be. And when I really think about that, it's, some of the things in my life that don't interest me, they don't enter my field. So I'm not going to focus on that. And when it comes to balance and focus, real creativity comes through, especially the kids. When you look at it, real creativity opens up to the ones that actually tap into their passions. If you think back to when you were a little kid, you kind of had that imagination to want to look at so many different things and try a bunch of different things out and to realize your passions. Now, picture that, right? And the same thing is when it comes to, bipolar. Let's look at bipolar. Someone who has a little bit of, they're up and down with moods. And at the end of the day, the medication, if we look at it, may stabilize, whatever. But at the end of the day, we're just coming back to our authenticity. And when we come back to our authenticity and we express ourselves in many, many ways, and, understanding that that's a part of life, that sometimes you may go through cycles where something may happen, may trigger you and put you into that state of not feeling such and such. And then you may find something that really lights you up, and then all of a sudden your moods change in an instant. Because here's the thing, very, very hard to determine what that even looks like when someone who's, let's like give an example, someone who's so upbeat, so positive with life in general, things that may happen may take that positive person, someone who's really upbeat, not very long. May take just walking out in nature to really tap in back into their authenticity, to show up. And the outside, noise looking in will look at that as like, well, that's bipolar, like the moods are up and down, rather than looking at that like someone's just found that key piece to be able to tap in instantly, rather than going through loops in life. So it's just something that I was really, really pondering on, and wanted to bring this out there to people, because I feel we look at we have this perception of like ADHD as being something of a burden. We need to fix it, rather than, what is it, right? Think of it when you're a kid. You have so much energy. You want to just play in the big playground. You want to get out there and try so many different things. You don't know whether you're going to be a guitarist growing up until you start playing that guitar. You may see that as a future thing, or playing the drums, or just getting out in nature, running around and tapping into your athletic abilities. You don't actually know until you test things out. So we can look at these things as burdens, or we can flip our perception and look at that as like, that's a part of having that inner child, that energy, that passion for life. And, the reason why humanity looks at these things as like something of we need to fix is because we're so uncomfortable with seeing things for what they really are. Someone who's very expressive, we may say that's a little bit too much. Someone who speaks a little louder, it's like, whoa, I can't be around that, because it like mirrors some of the things that we're not able to express out into the world. And everything in life is a mirror. Like, so your perception, whatever you project out into the world, is just a perception mirror of you. So when you really look at these things, you look at it from a higher point of view. You look at things completely different. And I think life is about trial and error. Life is about experimenting in everything. So get out there in the big playground and just play. Play the guitar, play the drums, sing, test it out. And embrace that uniqueness and how your brain ticks. Embrace how you're able to see different patterns that other people aren't able to see. And someone that can really zone in on something they're passionate about, able to really zone in and be in complete flow with their own authenticity, if that makes sense. Anyone that has tuned in, let me know, say hello. Let me know if this actually rings any bells, because I know for my life, a lot of my life, it's like, wow, this guy's got like many different facets to him. He's got like so many different personalities all in one. And, but isn't that what life's all about? If you looked at your whole like life book, and we all have chapters, why don't we just play out those chapters? Sometimes you may play out the chapter of, maybe you go through the chapter of depression, and then the next chapter you open up, you meet someone along the way that gives you that, refreshing, like for you, like that energy that allows you to bring out more of your authenticity, whatever that may be, because energy is inevitable to really reach out, ripple out. So, I just think, why don't we look at it a little differently? And I think that the most, like the unique part about dyslexics, ADHDs and these things is that they do see the world differently. And growing up for me, when it came to like learning, it's funny because when I look back, I wasn't able to read. And if you looked at a label, maybe I had dyslexic, well, it's just a label, but I wasn't able to read, and I would stutter when I would speak. But what I've found is there's a common ground in humanity that what we label, like all of the dyslexics out there, are super, super creative and have a way of seeing patterns that people miss. And I find that really, really cool to see that common ground. They are able to become extraordinary communicators. I've seen many dyslexics out there become extraordinary communicators, and in a roundabout way, they find their way of learning, and it's pretty much 9 times out of 10, you see them becoming not just exceptional at communicating, exceptional readers, exceptional writers, because they had to go through the challenges of not being able to really learn in that way. They found other ways that opened them up to express, that really opens up their brain. Because here's the thing, we do, like when they say you only use 100%, like you don't use 100% of your brain, like you only have certain parts of your brain that you use. And that's not true, because when you really open up and you start to open up your own gifts and do things in different ways, you are able to tap into 100% of your brain. In different times, you tap into different parts of your brain. And that is allowing you to access different information. That's allowing you to process things differently. It's allowing you to show up differently. So I think this is just a really, really important, conversation. Important to really dive in, dissect, and really understand that the uniqueness in someone with dyslexia and ADHD, and realize that they're here to teach new ways. Because someone that has dyslexia, right? Someone who may not be able to read initially, and they see things backwards, words are backwards, everything's backwards. Think about this. As you start to propel forward in your life, the greatest gift you can have by having that skill set is you can reflect back to your past. Now, when you reflect back to your past, you're not looking at it from victimhood. You're reflecting back and you're seeing what you can learn, and you're reflecting back to see all of the things that you can bring into the now and stack on, like empowered gratitude, empowered calmness, empowered whatever that is, and bringing all of your positive memories back into the now as well. It's a skill set that most people don't tap into. And it's the one skill set that I tap into a lot, because I feel the more we start to reminisce and we start to really grab and stack all of the feelings from the past, whether they were good or bad, because even if you look at it as you're bringing all like traumas or bad or whatever, you can just like reminisce, look at it from an observer point of view, look down, see what you need to learn to let go of, see what you need to accept, see what you need to love, see what you need to forgive. And then you can really bring that into the now, anchor that in, and move forward with your life with actual clarity in your mind. You really, really can. And the same goes like bringing the positive memories, like things that you did that really lit you up. And maybe when you were a kid, you did something that lit you up, right? Like, something that you're passionate about. Playing that song, playing that guitar, playing the flute, whatever that is. It changes your life. And you're no longer looking at the future, because you're literally anchoring in everything that you are. Because when you start off this game of life, before you get your behaviors, your patterns and everything, right? Like your belief systems, your values, you learn it from your parents, right? Comes down. So from 0 to 7, you're embodying all of those things. But what about before that? And in the process, there's certain things as when you were a kid that you never lose, but we forget. So it's in the reminisce that we bring it back. And in the reminisce of bringing it back, bringing it into the now, you can show up in the most creative ways possible to be able to do things that the world's never seen before. When you tap into this power, this superpower. So anyway, anyone that has tuned in, let me know if this is like resonating. Let me know if you know someone that's been considered ADHD. Let me know how the medication that they're on, let me know how they respond to it. Yeah, they may calm down in the moment, but longevity, how does that even look? Are we really dissecting it down? Or are we embracing the enthusiasm in someone, the charisma, the energy, the fire, the passion, by someone that may have ADHD and they're really like, yeah, the big kid that like, yeah, let's do this, let's do that, let's run up the mountains, let's really, really enjoy ourselves. Like, how do we look at it? How do we really look at that? So I feel that this conversation is such a taboo topic, where we just place things in labels. We look at things as like, well, that needs some spanner to really twist those joints and bolts, and we need to do something there. We need to fix that. And we're always looking to fix something rather than embracing it all. So yeah, really, really, really important. And if you've been told that you're too much, turn it up. Turn it up even more and start to just enjoy expressing who you are. Enjoy expressing who you are, not really caring what anyone thinks. Because we are all different. We're all connected as one, but we are all have our own fine blueprint. We all have our own creativity, our own flair, our own spark, our own passion, our own fire, our own energy that we exert into this world, our own ideas, our own thoughts, all of these things, right? But then if you take that observer role, you realize that none of that even really exists unless you put your focus on it. So yeah. On that note, I may leave it at that. I was feeling the fire coming through. I was feeling that this is really, really, really important subject. And I've come across many of these things in my life where, you know, people, we have this judgment of like, wow, they're all over the place. They've got so much high energy. And we're like, whoa, we run from that energy rather than embracing that. Tap into how you feel. Do you feel good when you're around someone that may have high energy? Or does it drain you? I mean, it's a simple test. When you really test the energy out of like scale of 1 to 10, when you get like really honest about that, how do you feel when you're around someone who has energy? Like someone like me, right? I have a lot of energy, you know, where I exert that out. Does it lift you up or does it pull you down? And that's a simple test in life to know whether that vibe is really good or, you know, and why are we looking at it as like we need to pill someone up? We need to medicate someone. What about the greatest medication of just being authentic? You know, authenticity is the greatest medication you can have because everything falls away from the veil. Like all of the layers just start to peel back to only, you know, allow people to see you as who you are. Because at the end of the day, we're all mirrors. We are all mirrors of each other. So every single trigger that you have is just a mirror for you to look at, for you to embrace, for you to feel, for you to observe, see what you can learn, see what you can get rid of out of your system, and see what else you can anchor into your system. So I say live it up. I say express fully. I say have no filter. I say be open and receptive to more information to come in, to flow out in the perfect way that's designed for you. Namaste. And we'll just breathe on that. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose. Really connect to your body out of the mind. Exhale that out. Really, really allow yourself to get out and play, to create, to do what lights you up. That's it. And don't forget to laugh.